She thought you would chase because she remembered the old version of you, the version that could not sleep when her replies got cold, the version that checked her stories and pretended it was nothing, the version that sent one more message after already knowing he should stop, the version that explained his heart to someone who was already choosing distance, the version that believed if he could just say the right words, show enough love, prove enough loyalty, and make her understand his pain, she would finally come back and see his worth. But this time, something changed. You did not chase, you did not beg, you did not write the emotional paragraph, you did not ask, what did I do wrong? You did not keep checking if she was online. You did not become the man she expected you to become when she pulled away. And that is what changed everything because when a woman thinks you will chase, she is not always expecting your love. Sometimes she is expecting your weakness. She's expecting the old pattern. She's expecting you to feel panic when she creates distance. She is expecting your emotions to move toward her the moment she moves away from you. But when you do not chase, she meets something different. She meets your self respect. And self respect hits harder than any paragraph you could ever send. A man does not regain respect by chasing a woman who is choosing distance. He regains respect by becoming calm enough to stop feeding the dynamic that was making him smaller. He regains power by stepping back, controlling his emotions, rebuilding his life, and proving to himself that one woman's silence does not own his identity. That is what she did not expect. She expected you to keep orbiting around her absence, but you return to your own life. That is the first thing you must understand. The strongest thing you did was not ignore her. The strongest thing you did was stop abandoning yourself. There's a difference. Ignoring her to punish her is still about her. Staying silent so she panics is still about her. Posting to make her jealous is still about her. Pretending to move on so she watches you is still about her. But stepping back because your peace matters is about you. That is why it works differently. Fake silence has neediness underneath it. Real silence has dignity underneath it. Fake silence says, I hope she notices. Real silence says, I am no longer available for this dynamic. Fake silence counts the days. Real silence rebuilds the man. Fake silence waits for her to break. Real silence breaks your old pattern. And once your old pattern breaks, she can no longer predict you the same way. Before, maybe she knew that if she pulled away, you would chase. If she got cold, you would get warmer. If she ignored you, you would send more. If she gave a little attention, you would become hopeful. If she disappeared, you would panic. If she came back softly, you would forget every standard you had. But this time, you did something else. You paused. You let the silence sit. You let her distance be real. You let her choice have space. You did not rush in to save her from the feeling of losing your attention. That is what creates contrast. And contrast is what makes a woman stop and think, not because you manipulated her, not because you played games, not because you became cruel, but because she expected the old you and the old you did not show up. The old you would have tried to prove your worth. The new you started living like you already had it. That is the shift. When she pulled away, the old you might have asked, how do I make her come back? The new you asked, how do I stay a man I respect? When she went cold, the old you might have asked, what can I send? The new you asked, why am I trying to warm someone who is choosing coldness? When she stopped giving effort, the old you might have given more. The new you finally understood that giving more to someone giving less is how a man trains himself to accept crumbs. And a man with self respect does not accept crumbs just because he is hungry. This is where your power begins, not when she regrets it, not when she texts, not when she watches your story, not when she asks about you. Your power begins the moment you stop making her reaction the center of your life. Because if you are only becoming stronger so she regrets leaving, she still controls you. If you are only training so she notices, she still controls you. If you are only making money, dressing better, posting better, or moving differently so she feels jealous, she still controls you. That is not freedom. That is chasing with a different outfit. A free man improves because his future matters. He trains because his body matters. He works because his purpose matters. He sleeps because his mind matters. He becomes disciplined because he refuses to let heartbreak lead him anymore. That kind of growth cannot be faked. And when a man grows for himself, his energy changes. He stops feeling like a man waiting to be chosen. He starts feeling like a man who has chosen himself. That is why she may regret it. not because you begged her into seeing your value because you stopped discounting it. Most men do not understand this. They think a woman regrets losing a man because he tells her what she lost. But real regret often begins when she feels the absence of what she took for granted. She may have taken your attention for granted because it was always available. She may have taken your patience for granted because you gave it too easily. She may have taken your loyalty for granted because she assumed it had no boundary. She may have taken your forgiveness for granted because you offered it before she even earned it. Then one day it is gone, no message, no checking, no soft excuse to reopen the door, no emotional paragraph, no indirect post, no quiet orbiting, no hidden chasing, just absence, and real absence is heavy. You cannot be missed if you refuse to become absent. That line matters. You cannot be missed if you keep showing up. You cannot be missed if you keep explaining. You cannot be missed if you keep checking her life. You cannot be missed if she knows you are still waiting exactly where she left you, so you stop being there, not to hurt her, to heal yourself. That is the difference between maturity and manipulation. A manipulative man disappears to make her panic. A mature man steps back because chasing would make him lose respect for himself. A manipulative man wants revenge. A mature man wants peace. A manipulative man is still controlled by her reaction. A mature man is controlled by his values. That is the man you are becoming. Now, let us talk about the moment most men break. It is late at night. Your room is quiet. Your phone is beside you. You start remembering how she used to talk to you. You remember the warm version of her, the version that used to reply fast, the version that made you feel chosen, the version that looked at you like you mattered. Then you remember the coldness, the distance, the silence, the way she acted like your presence stopped meaning what it once meant. And your mind starts negotiating. Maybe I should just check. Maybe I should send one message. Maybe she is waiting for me to reach out. Maybe if I stay silent, she will forget me. Maybe another man will take my place. That is where you must become stronger than the urge, because the urge is not wisdom. The urge is pain asking for relief. A strong man tells himself the truth before he acts. He does not call checking her profile curiosity. He does not call anxiety closure. He does not call a weak message maturity. He does not hide desperation under polite words. He says, I want to do this because I want relief. Then he chooses discipline. He writes the message in his notes and does not send it. He puts the phone away. He walks. He trains. He prays if faith is part of his life. He sleeps. He lets the urge rise and fall without obeying it. That is how self trust comes back. Every time you say you will not text and then you text, you lose trust in yourself. Every time you say you will stop checking and then you check, you lose trust in yourself. Every time you promise dignity and then chase, you teach yourself that your emotions are stronger than your standards. And once a man cannot trust himself, confidence becomes fake. Real confidence is built through proof, proof that you can miss her and still not chase, proof that you can feel lonely and still not beg, proof that you can feel rejected and still not become bitter, proof that you can love someone and still protect your peace. That proof changes the way you carry yourself. And the way you carry yourself is what she feels if she ever comes near you again. She does not meet the same desperate energy. She does not meet the same fear. She does not meet the same man who makes her silence more powerful than his whole life. She meets a man who has direction. Direct is powerful. A man with direction does not orbit around a woman's uncertainty. He has things to build. He has a body to strengthen. He has money to earn. He has skills to sharpen. He has faith to deepen. He has standards to protect. He has a future that does not pause just because one person became unsure. And when a man has direction, his attention has value. That matters. Because attention without boundaries loses value. If she can pull away and still receive your full emotional energy, your attention has no boundary. If she can ignore you and still know you are waiting, your presence has no consequence. If she can give one small signal and get your whole heart back, your access is too cheap. Stop making access to you cheap. Be warm but not desperate. Be open but not needy. Be patient but not passive. Be kind but not blind. Be calm but not weak. That is balance. Most men lose balance when they feel rejected. First they chase, then they become angry. First they beg, then they act cold. First they worship her, then they insult her. First they overgive, then they try to punish. That is not masculine strength. That is emotional instability. A strong man does neither. He does not chase her into choosing him. He does not punish her for not choosing him. He simply stops investing where effort is not mutual. That is the move she did not expect. She thought you would chase, but you chose self control. She thought you would break, but you built structure. She thought you would keep checking, but you protected your peace. She thought your attention would always be available, but you finally gave it back to yourself. Now, does that mean she will regret it every time? No, no one can promise that. People have free will. Some women will not come back. Some women will move on. Some women should not return. Some endings are protection, even if they feel painful in the moment. But the real victory is not her regret. The real victory is that you stop losing yourself. Because if she regrets it and you are still weak, what did you really win? If she texts you and you collapse, what did you really build? If she comes back and you forget your standards, what did the pain teach you? Nothing. That is why your growth must be real, not performative, not temporary, not built around her return. For the next 7 days, do not message her first from panic. Do not check her stories. Do not ask mutual friends about her. Do not post to get her attention. Do not make emotional decisions at night. Do not reread old messages until your chest hurts. Do not send a soft message when what you really want is reassurance. Put that energy into training, work, money, sleep, discipline, faith, emotional control, and rebuilding your identity. Train your body even when your mind is heavy. Clean your space even when your emotions feel messy. Fix your sleep because tired men make weak decisions. Eat properly because heartbreak drains your focus. Walk when anxiety hits. Sprout what you want to say, but do not send it from panic. Put your phone away before midnight. Build your day before your emotions build it for you. This is not about pretending you do not care. It is about proving that her distance does not own you. Every time you do not chase, you rebuild self trust. Every time you do not check, you rebuild control. Every time you do not post for her reaction, you rebuild dignity. Every time you keep your routine while hurting, you become stronger. Confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. You said you would not chase. Do not chase. You said you would not check. Do not check. You said you would not beg. Do not beg. That is how a man becomes solid. And a solid man is hard to pull back into chaos. Now, if she reaches out after you do this, you must stay calm. This is where most men fail. They finally stop texting. They finally stop checking. They finally start feeling stronger. Then her name appears on the phone and the old man wakes up. He replies too fast. He writes too much. He asks if she misses him. He tries to get certainty immediately. He turns one small message into a full emotional conversation. He acts like he has been waiting by the phone the whole time. And she feels it. She feels that he did not truly grow. He was just waiting. Do not be that man. A small message is not a full return. A hey is not accountability. A miss you is not changed behavior. A story view is not love. A late night text is not proof that she is ready. A woman touching the door is not the same as a woman walking through it with clarity. So if she reaches out, stay calm, not cold, calm. If she says, hey, you can say, hey, hope you're doing well. That is enough. Then observe. Does she bring clarity? Does she show consistency? Does she take responsibility? Does she respect your pace? Does she communicate with maturity? Or does she only want to see if she still has access to your emotions? A needy man gets drunk on words. A grounded man watches actions. Do not get drunk on words. Words are easy when someone is lonely. Words are easy when guilt appears. Words are easy when nostalgia hits at night. But consistency is harder. Accountability is harder. Respecting boundaries is harder. That is why you move slowly. If she says, I miss you, you can say, I hear you. What made you reach out? If she says, I've been thinking about us, you can say, I understand. What do you want to do with that? If she says, can we talk? You can say, we can talk, but I am not rushing back into anything. These are not games. They are calm boundaries. They invite clarity without begging. They show openness without desperation. They protect your peace without attacking her. A real return can handle patience. A fake return usually cannot. If she genuinely wants to reconnect, she will respect your pace. If she only wants emotional access, your boundaries may make her disappear again. Let that happen. You need truth more than temporary comfort because comfort can pull you back into the same cycle. Truth sets you free. Now, if she regrets it, she may not say it directly. She may test the door. She may watch quietly. She may ask mutual friends about you. She may like something. She may send a small message. She may act casual but carry emotional weight underneath. She may say, hope you are doing well, when what she really wants to know is whether you are still available. But curiosity is not commitment. A signal is not accountability. A small opening is not a real return. So do not chase hints. A man with self respect does not chase hidden feelings. He responds to clear effort. That is the standard. If her regret is real, let her bring clarity. If her interest is real, let her show consistency. If her apology is real, let her respect the time it takes to rebuild trust. If she only wanted to check whether she still has power over you, your calmness will reveal that. Do not fear the truth. Fear returning to fantasy. Fantasy says, she contacted me, so everything is fixed. Truth says, she contacted me, now I observe. Fantasy says, she misses me, so she must be ready. Truth says, missing is emotion, readiness is behavior. Fantasy says, this is my chance. Truth says, like, my peace still matters. That is the frame. Now, let us talk about why she may regret expecting you to chase. She may regret it because she realizes your absence is not a trick. She may regret it because she notices you are not emotionally leaking anymore. She may regret it because the attention she took for granted is gone. She may regret it because other attention does not feel the same. She may regret it because time reveals the difference between excitement and consistency. She may regret it because you handled the pain with more dignity than she expected. But again, do not live for that regret. Regret is not the prize. Peace is the prize. Self respect is the prize. Discipline is the prize. A life you are proud of is the prize. A relationship without those things is not a prize. It is a cycle, and you are done with cycles because the old cycle was simple. She pulled away, you chased. She got cold, you explained. She ignored you. You panicked. She gave a small signal, you gave full access. She came back soft, you forgot the pain. That cycle ends when you stop playing your old role. That is what you did instead. You did not chase, you returned to yourself. You stopped making her silence your prison. You stopped making her attention your medicine. You stopped making her choice the measure of your worth. You started becoming the man you should have been before the pain ever came. That is growth. And growth is the one thing no one can take from you. She can leave, but she cannot take your discipline unless you hand it over. She can go silent, but she cannot take your peace unless you surrender it. She can choose distance, but she cannot choose your identity unless you let her. Do not let her. Your life belongs to you. Now, maybe part of you still wants to hear that she is suffering. Maybe part of you wants her to feel what you felt. Maybe part of you wants her to regret so badly that she comes back begging. That is human, but do not build your character around revenge. Revenge keeps you attached. Bitterness keeps you attached. Living for her regret keeps you attached. A free man does not need revenge. He needs direction. He does not say, I hope she suffers. He says, I hope I never abandon myself like that again. That is the higher path. It does not satisfy the ego quickly, but it builds a stronger man. A weak man turns pain into chaos. A strong man turns pain into standards. A weak man says, I will make her regret. A strong man says, I will become impossible for my old weakness to control. That is the difference. Now, what if she never regrets it? Then you still win if you do not lose yourself. That is the part many men avoid because they want the story to end with her return. They want the message. They want the apology. They want her to realize. They want proof that silence worked. But the highest proof is not her return. The highest proof is your peace. Can you sleep without her reply? Can you train without needing her to notice? Can you work without checking your phone every 10 minutes? Can you stop asking about her? Can you feel sadness without turning it into begging? Can you remember her without reopening the wound? Can you love deeply without losing your frame? That is success. Because a man who can do that is no longer easy to break. He is harder to manipulate, harder to pull into chaos, harder to make insecure, harder to turn into an option. That man is attractive because he is not desperate for attraction. He has direction. And direction is one of the most powerful things a man can have. Now, if she does come back, remember this. Do not make her return bigger than your growth. Her return is not proof that you are valuable. You were valuable before she returned. Her regret is not proof that you mattered. You mattered before she regretted. Her message is not proof that you are finally enough. You were enough before the message. If you forget that, you will hand your power back. So stay centered. Listen, but do not rush. Care, but do not chase. Be open, but do not become easy. Watch actions, not just words. Let consistency prove what emotion claims because consistency reveals what emotion hides. Emotion can happen in one night. Consistency shows up over time. Emotion says, I miss you. Consistency says, I respect what I broke and I am willing to rebuild trust with actions. That is what you watch, not the intensity of her words, the stability of her actions. If the actions do not match, you step back again. No drama, no punishment, no emotional collapse. It's just standards. That is how a man moves when he is truly grown. Tonight, when your mind tells you to check if she regrets it yet, do not check. When your ego wants proof that she misses you, do not search for proof. When your heart wants to send one small message, do not send from panic. When loneliness tells you to reopen a door that hurt you, breathe, put the phone down, stand up, drink water, walk, train, pray, work, bat, sleep, build, do one thing that makes tomorrow better. Because discipline is how a man tells heartbreak, you can hurt me, but you cannot lead me. That is the man she did not expect, not the man who begged, not the man who folded, not the man who kept chasing after every moment of distance, the man who hurt but stayed composed, the man who cared but did not abandon himself, the man who wanted her but did not make her return the measure of his worth. The man who turned silence into strength, pain into standards, and loss into direction, that man is hard to forget. That man is hard to replace. That man is free. So remember this. She thought you would chase, but you did this instead. You paused. You stepped back. You stopped checking. You stopped begging. You stopped explaining your value. You stopped rewarding distance with desperation. You rebuilt your life. You protected your peace. You let your actions speak louder than your fear. And if she regrets it, you do not rush, you do not punish, you do not collapse. You listen, you observe, you let actions prove what words cannot. And if she never regrets it, you still keep walking. Because the deepest truth is this: the goal is not to make her regret losing you. The goal is to become the man who never loses himself again. And in the next video, you will learn the quiet signs she regrets pulling away and how to handle her return without giving away the power you worked so hard to rebuild.